Hello, my name is Maria Helena Carey, and I am with a blog called The Hill is Home. And today we are with James Butler, who is mayoral candidate for the District of Columbia. Hello, James.
Good evening, Maria. How are you?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
Great, great. I'm doing quite well, except I'm not getting much sleep these days, but as you might imagine. But
I
I'm
can
so happy to
imagine.
be here this evening tonight to share my vision for the city with you, and then also specifically some of the issues that are facing Ward 6.
Absolutely. Well, it's really nice to talk to you, and thank you for making the time.
Thank you.
So without further ado, I have several questions. Some of the questions are sent in by our readers, or kind of a modified version of those questions, and some are my own. My first question to you is, what makes you the best candidate for mayor right now? What unique series of attributes make you the right person at the right moment? Just go ahead and tell us kind of a brief version of your vision for the district.
And thank you, Maria. Again, thanks for having me. And to all of you that will join us later on and review this, thank you so much for giving me a second and moment of your time. We understand that time is the most important commodity out there. So, and I say with a genuine from my soul, thank you so much. What makes me the best candidate, I believe, at this point in time is we are in a time of urgency within our city. All three of my opponents are career politicians that I believe have had an opportunity to move the metrics in the right direction. In the last 8 years plus, we have seen that every single metric in this city move in the wrong direction. And we need someone with a different set of eyes. But not only that, that's not going far enough. We need someone with concrete plans to tackle our public safety issues and reduce the crime. Let me just be very clear and not equivocate. Reduce the crime, reduce the gun violence, work on the front end of that and the back end. Now's not the time for a defund the police, decriminalize everything candidate. Now is absolutely not that time. If you do that, what you will likely see, and I hate to say this because I'm a district resident, of course, as well, we may see crime at a 30-year high. We know that safe cities will be happy cities. And if we fail to make our city safe, we will be all unhappy. And hopefully, we can avoid some of the perils that we're seeing happen all over the city. First, some years ago, you'd hear the word Good Hope Road, and you associated that with crime, or Kenilworth Avenue. You'd associate it with crime. But now you're hearing Upper Northwest and Connecticut Avenue, and you're associating it with crime. I'm talking horrible, violent crimes that unlike the district has ever seen. So what makes me different is I'm a candidate with a different set of eyes, not the eyes of a career politician, and I have concrete plans to increase the number of police officers, to work with our federal partners to seize illegal guns coming into the district. We will bring back the gun unit, not as it was before, not offending people's constitutional rights, but we will bring it back to work with the current gun recovery unit to ensure that any guns coming in from Maryland or Virginia are interdicted by our police department. And we will also work with our federal law enforcement departments that are not MPD to ensure that district residents are safe. We need to get people home alive. For the first time in 20 years, I pumped my gas in my car, standing at the back of my car, looking and waiting to be carjacked. Why? Because 4 of my neighbors in my development have been carjacked within the last month. We need more than talking points, and we don't need a defund the police candidate or someone that has proven they can't get it right after 8 years. The second part, Maria, is we need someone with a real plan for affordable housing. And I'll talk and get into the weeds of this, but you just can't say there's not enough affordable housing in DC without a plan and expecting there to be affordable housing. I'm really proffering a plan. I almost consider myself the Elizabeth Warren of this race, in a sense that I have a plan for these things. I have a really robust plans for a lot of these things, like changing, aborting HUD's formula on how we calculate AMI, because we don't need to keep it. It artificially inflates what's affordable in DC and inclusionary zoning. We're
Mhm.
going to abort it. We're going to bring rent control. With regards to our homelessness, we're no longer going to rely on private developers for our housing stock and go into our own city-owned housing stock. And you know what we can do? We can provide permanent supportive housing for these homeless people.
Okay.
We can get rid of the tent cities. And I also will talk about our schools. That's what makes me better. I've got a plan, and I'm not stifled in my vision because I've spent my entire career as a career politician.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for your passion and thank you for your candor. I feel that at this point in time, I'd like to talk about your past problems and your disbarment. And
Sure.
do you feel that that is something that impacts your candidature negatively and how people perceive you?
It does. And in all fairness, I will say this. It was one of the most tragic parts of my life. But it was one of the most strengthening parts of my life at the same time.
Mhm.
I went into my career as a civil rights lawyer, and I did it for a reason. Because one, I'm a Black man in America. I've grown up being discriminated against on a cornucopia of things. And I ran a national law firm, so I don't want anyone to feel there's some guy in an office that was conniving how to hurt his clients. It was nothing like that. I had over 25 full-time staff in my 20s when I started this. And
Mhm.
I'm very proud of the hundreds of people that I helped. I'm proud of the cases all over the nation that I helped resolve and make further the ends of people's constitutional rights and so on. What I am not proud of, and what I will be forever sad about, is the clients that I hurt that were predominantly clients at Jessup Correctional Institution. I was working to get them, additional appeals, essentially. It was a block of clients, or around 6,200, and I failed to do that because I
Mhm.
got too busy.
Mhm.
But it was I'm not passing the buck to someone else. And I believe learning from that early on when you're in your 20s, you start, I mean, as a Black man in this country, I feel quite accomplished that I did create so many jobs for people, that I did help so many people. But I know it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle in some senses.
Mhm.
But one thing I do want people to consider, I did this in my 20s. As a
Mhm.
Black man in America, I went to one of the nation's top law schools, and I was able to help people. And yes, I did falter to some extent back then, and I know that. And I took responsibility. That's why my license was never taken away from me. I voluntarily surrendered my license.
I
And
see.
I want that to be clear. And there
Mhm.
was absolutely zero criminal component to my case. So
Mhm.
I just want to be clear on that. But people know I have been working throughout the community since that time for years,
Mhm.
working with the homeless population, working with, I've worked with almost every major nonprofit in DC. I am proud to say that I have done more volunteer hours than most people probably will ever be able to accomplish in a lifetime. I've given back,
Right.
and I will
And so
continue to give back.
question for you as a
Uh-huh.
follow-up. So have been a lawyer and you explained yourself.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel that, I mean, a law degree obviously is something that is desirable for running for office, but you have not had experience in a political office. Do you feel that that is, you mentioned that it was a good thing. How would it be a good thing?
I do think I have some legislative experience.
Okay.
I have worked during my practice years. I've sued a lot of municipalities, a lot, all over the
Okay.
country, including state governments, cities, sheriff departments, police departments, all over the country, and seen quite a modicum of success. So I do think it equips me for that. In addition to that, I'm a former ANC commissioner. I really do believe I have quite a wide perspective on how things work in governments, having gone up against and successfully sued a number of governments. And I'm actually quite a smart guy, too. I mean, it's just, I am. I mean, it's just, you know, some people say, well, it's cocky to say that or arrogant. No, it isn't. If you are, you are.
Well,
It's what it,
and
you know.
you're also a very eloquent speaker. You definitely know how
Oh,
to.
you're kind, because I honestly never see myself that way. After my team hears me do speeches or debates, they're like, "Oh, Mr. Butler, you did an excellent," and I feel like literally putting my hands down and head down in my hands. I
Mhm.
never am pleased with the way I speak. Never. And in my trial work, I was never that way. I was always that way too. So thank you for your kindness, Maria.
You're very welcome. Let's go ahead and move on. So I think I feel that you have kind of said what you might do different from our incumbent, Mayor Bowser. But could you give me some specific examples of some of the things that you feel that you would have gone about differently in what she has done as mayor? How would you have approached some of those things? They're specific examples.
Specific examples, I think we really have allowed DC to operate as a non-international city. We've allowed it to operate as a very small city. I would extend the rec center hours to 24 hours, and they would be patrolled by police officers. They would also have mental and behavioral health and addiction apparatus, the very robust one surrounding it. There would also be safe passage for our youth. In addition to that, we would also have mental behavioral health services available for single moms and dads. Those sorts of things are the things that I would have done to really ensure that we get to the root of the problem. I would ensure that the Marion Barry Summer Youth Program is a 365-day-a-year program that is paying a minimum wage. So it'll be a year-round program. What we need are things to keep our youth out of trouble. We really do, because we see that a large portion of these crimes are being committed by our youth. On the flip side of this, I would have seen, after 8 years, you didn't see what was happening to our police department. You didn't see the shrinkage of the officers. Come on. No one buys it. And then you're asking to try to get it right after 12 years. That's silly, in my opinion. And I'm not being insultuous to her. I just think it's silly to claim you didn't know what was going on. I am moving and will continuously work to ensure that we get 1,000 additional police officers on the street. And let me tell you, here's why.
Okay.
Currently, we are doing 1.1 million hours of overtime for our overstrained police force. That equates to literally the money we pay in overtime equates to hiring an additional 500 police officers that can be better, placed throughout the city. Then that means less overstrained, less overworked, less tired and sick police officers that may be encountering mental behavioral health issues and addiction issues. We must make sure people make it home alive. A defining moment for me, Maria, was when I went into the funeral service and I was invited by families of Nia Courtney and Micaiah Wilson. You may recognize the names. The 6-year-old girl and the 10-year-old girl killed by errant bullets. And this occurred all within the last 10 years and or 4 years. My apologies. And it really was a defining moment for me that we got to get people home alive. I've got to make sure that my city is a safe city. And the mayor has failed us on that. With the plan I'm presenting right now of improving our rec centers, improving the Marion Barry Summer Youth Program, creating the Boys and Girls Clubs to a 24-hour safe passage, as well as our 24-hour rec centers, in addition to making sure we put these additional number of police officers on the street. We will also partner with our federal partners and the ATF to ensure that ghost guns become a thing of the past. You're talking about lobbying and pushing. I promise you, I will make DC one of the safest cities in America.
Wow.
It's a bold plan. I will make DC one of the safest cities in America. In addition to a special gun unit that works with the gun recovery unit to interdict illegal weapons coming in to the district, we will also review with our courts and local and federal to ensure that we address the loitering situation in our city. We want to make sure that if we approach it in a way that it's constitutionally applied, in addition, what we will do is approach it in a restorative way with a task force where we see people loitering. This task force won't have police powers, but what they will do is see if they're out there for one of the four pillars, an overcrowded housing situation, lack of a job, a mental behavioral health situation, addiction issues. We know that most of the time it's one of the four of those or a combination of those. And if we can get them help, but if they continuously loiter and fetter with free business and small businesses in the city, and we know that crime is birthed out of the loitering here, people are killed out of loitering, ghost guns are disseminated out of this loitering, we will again review and keep all options on the table to make and reinstate DC's no loitering law in a very constitutional and restorative way. Everything is on the table to keep the residents safe.
Just a quick follow-up question, and you know, I realize this might be part of your plan, but 1,000 officers, where would you recruit them?
We plan to recruit them from our own community-based police officers and well-trained police officers. I'm talking about 1,000 officers over 4 years. So that's 250 officers a year. We would recruit them from our local talent. We would work with our junior high or middle schools and high schools to ensure that there's a greater interest in our youth that are within those schools, to ensure that there's local talent coming into policing their own communities. That's the way I believe that policing works best, when you've got local, well-trained community police officers. And that's exactly what we plan to do. You know, short of being able to attract local talent, we would do like any municipality or company would do. Then we would, you know, look for outside talent that, again, is scrutinized to the point that we know they're going to be police officers that act above board and strengthen our communities.
Okay, great. So here is a question for you. What do you think Mayor Bowser has done well?
Mayor Bowser handled COVID reasonably well. And I say that because of this. No leader in the world was tested with a pandemic, certainly in the last 100 years, or certainly any leader right now, presently, have been tested with something like that. I was glad that I didn't win in 2018 because it would have been a doozy to deal with. And that's me just being very candid and putting it all out there. So I think with her press conferences, keeping everyone abreast to things, I do think she let her ego get in the way of reinstating the mask mandate with the second surge. Also, I do think if I were mayor, and I hate the quarterback crises like COVID, but I think what I would have done differently, I think I would have led the way as opposed to making my decisions immediately after Larry Hogan and who's the guy in Virginia that's now gone. And it's amazing how quickly we forget. And it's not Youngkin, of course, but it was Ralph Northam. Yeah. So I would like DC to be the leader of the country. You know, if we want to be a state and the 51st state, why don't we start acting like it? If I were mayor, then look, come on, I'm mayor of this here. I'm the de facto governor. And I would have acted that way, you know? So I don't like to see I think it's poor leadership when you're following as the mayor of the nation's capital of the world.
So let's shift gears. And as you know, the Hill is Home focuses mostly on Ward 6 and now Wards 7 and 8 as well, thanks to redistricting. And so redistricting left many people reeling, feeling that, you know, that they kind of, for many people, they lost the council member they knew, and for other people, you know, just kind of communities were kind of shoved around a little bit. There was a feeling of, there's always, of course, feelings of not knowing what is going to happen.
Right.
How would you, as mayor, make sure that if you were elected mayor and you happen to be through another redistricting, how would you have done it differently? How would you have made sure that people understand that in addition to council members, that they can count on other services? Or what would be your vision of making sure that people understand that they have more than just one resource for or recourse for getting help at a local level?
Yeah, I think it's important for the executive office of the mayor to always be open, have this open door policy with residents. So, in addition to fostering a good relationship with my council members, I certainly would ensure that residents, and you learn best when you have your ear to the ground. So,
Mhm,
I really do believe in visiting, especially areas that are going to be redistricted,
mhm,
then visit those neighborhoods, let them know, talk with them. And first and foremost, I think you learn best when you are asking the residents about their concerns
mhm,
when the lines are going to be redrawn. And someone might lose their council person and feel left out and not understand. Or know their new council member, say if it was 6, moving over to 7, or vice versa.
mhm,
We could, and we would have very likely have open talks with the council, meet the council member, meet the mayor type.
mhm,
You could do a meeting like that, meet your council member, meet your mayor, and you could do it together because one, we're not going to move this city forward unless we do things together. And
mhm,
that is when I mean that, I don't say throwing legislation and things at people. I'd be the type of mayor that will listen to people and see what they want, see what they need, see where their concerns are, and have an open door policy. So I'm not a big proponent of government throwing things at people, but I do believe if we had that openness, meet the council member, meet the mayor, then you would certainly have had a much easier transition. Right now, it's been a little bit rocky, and it gives me a lot to look forward to.
absolutely. I think that there are some things that are going to be rocky no matter what. One other thing that is hyper local to our area that has also been rocky is the RFK campus. There are many neighbors who have been watching with trepidation the switch now to the Washington Commanders, and
Right.
the fact that there may even be plans to court them back into coming into DC. And if they come into DC, that they would come into RFK and make that more than anything what it used to be. A football stadium only used a few times a year with a large parking lot and not a lot of other things. Of course, now there's talks about doing more of sportsplex and a different use thing. What is your vision for the RFK campus?
My vision is has been articulated, and I'll share it with you again. I do believe that we should try to attract the commanders back to the district. I think it would create a real benefit to our economy. But where I look at is what we will not do. I don't believe that the district should pay one for the stadium, and I also don't believe we should pay for the land prep. So that those are two separate things. Now, can we give tax abatements of sorts? Can we negotiate those sorts of things? I'd be willing to do that, but I do believe it should, if it is brought back into the district, we would always reserve space and negotiate community areas, not only if there's a parking lot, but also in the stadium as well, so that community can use it for recreational purposes. That I'd envision certain community events being there, so there would be certainly open space
Mhm.
carved in there for community use, and
Do
that
you
would be
envision
another
them
community
coming
benefit.
into the RFK campus, or where in DC would you ideally
The
place these
RFK
banners?
campus,
Okay.
yes. I can't envision uh, any other real space that would accommodate that
Mhm.
without significantly encroaching on people's day-to-day lives. Now, I know those neighbors in that area would, for the reconstruction, the demolition and reconstruction would be fettered for a time, but one, the land's already there.
Mhm,
One, we can, from an infrastructure standpoint, it almost makes more sense to just put it where it was
mhm,
and, carve out community space. But by no means do we, pay for the land or land prep or the actual stadium itself. There's no plan that's going to make everyone happy. And I do know that.
mhm.
And some people do not like the possibility of people, ruckus crowds coming in to sporting events. But you know, you've asked, so I've shared with you.
Absolutely. No, no, no. That's I mean, that's your answer. And thank you for sharing it with me. What about people who say that there should be more affordable housing and that areas would be best served by housing? What would you say to them?
So we have affordable housing, and I believe what we have is a lack of affordable housing.
Mhm.
And so I don't know that we need
Deeply affordable housing, I guess is what I'm
deeply
saying.
affordable housing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying there's some contention that maybe that land would be best used with if it were more reserved for deeply affordable housing.
I think
And
maybe a mix, even.
yeah, and I'm proffering essentially the same thing, that's saying we can use a combination of private developers, which we already use for affordable housing, as well as go into the city's housing stock to some extent to ensure that we're not using or relying on private developers entirely for our stock of affordable housing. What we
Mhm.
would do is essentially ensure that we, one, as I indicated early on, change the way we calculate AMI. That's what
Mhm.
will make it much more deeply affordable. Right now, we're using HUD's formula, which is this regional formula that literally takes into account the surrounding counties, that artificially inflates what's affordable in DC. Nothing in the law right now compels us to use HUD's formula. We will abort that formula and we will create and lower what becomes affordable in DC. So
Mhm.
that will make it much more affordable, bring in rent control and those sorts of things. I don't believe we need to say, oh, we're going to put more affordable housing in that place. It would be nice to think about, but
Mhm.
I don't know that we need it. I think we can do both, is I guess the best way to put it. We can have our stadium and we can have continuously deeply affordable housing.
Mhm.
Um, but I also think, the tax base that the commanders being here would deeply benefit DC, and
Mhm.
that it would provide a very, very, very robust tax infusion with DC. And so that's why I'm in favor of them being there and then taking some of those monies and placing them into a more deeply affordable housing sounds like a great option.
Okay, well, thank you. Let's see, just staying on the Ward 6 and some of those issues. After January 6th, many Capitol Hill and DC residents in general felt that the authorities did not communicate effectively with them and whenever there's a crisis situation. What steps would you take to ensure that DC residents, especially those living close to key areas, and that would of course mean Capitol Hill, especially, the all the particular trauma that close in neighbors, but especially the house side had after January 6th, and then neighbors, I guess, living around the White House areas and those sensitive areas. What would you say to them to make sure that people feel enfranchised, that people feel included in security plans? What?
Sure. First of all, I would say that I'm sorry what happened on January 10th to this country. It changed our democracy forever. And it was a tragic day. I lived through it like almost everyone else in the district presently, and those that certainly lived around the Hill were close and probably in a terrible fright. I lived not too far from the Hill. I mean,
Mhm.
literally can cross over into Ward 6, even though I'm in Ward 5, like with making 500 footsteps. So I'm very close. I saw the brigades of police officers going down on January 6th and was scared out of my mind. I can only imagine what being closer would have felt like. So I'm with you in that regard. And what I believe this starts with, it starts with having a non-overburdened police department. And I've talked about this early on, that I'm going to ensure that our police department isn't overburdened, because when you have an overburdened police department, everything goes, including communication, and you're going to the bare bones of what you have to work with. So, I mean, I can guarantee you, if we had enough police officers to sufficiently handle our city and manage our city, we would have been able to communicate with those residents better. But one thing I will also ensure is that our Office of Unified Communications and so on work with residents that are in the periphery of areas that are sensitive areas where issues of public safety on a larger scale might arise if something is breached, such as the White House and the Capitol. And we can do that in a number of ways, but we're going to need to improve our Office of Communication with technology that is consistent with what needs to be used in present day, not something that worked 8, 12 or so on years ago. So we're going to make sure we're using the best technology where if something went down that day, we can immediately text you on your cell phone and tell you what to do. We can immediately ensure that there are officers dispatched to homes on the periphery that are affected. So much happens when you have an overburdened police department that wouldn't happen had your police department and law enforcement not been overburdened. So the first step is critical, and that is making sure our law enforcement or MPD is not overburdened. And the second part of that is upgrading our Office of Unified Communication.
So since you mentioned the Office of Unified Communications, sorry, let me start over with that one. Mayor Bowser has reappointed Karima Holmes as acting director of OUC, even though several critical mistakes happened during her tenure and things were getting better with the interim director who was passed over. So do you feel this appointment was a correct move on the mayor's part? And what else would you do to ensure that OUC is not overburdened and that it works more effectively?
One thing I would do is ensure that the most competent people are our department heads. The mayor's administration has been full of favoritism and cronyism, and that's got to end, because what that does is it causes a deficit in competency. Yes, it causes a deficit in competency. So we get sometimes, because you want to do a favor, it's the least prepared person doing some of the most critical tasks. And that, to me, when you're dealing with people's lives, is never a good thing. So I believe that the mayor, likely used her typical judgment by giving the job to a friend or a donor or someone who she owed a favor to. That's, as articulated, that's always bad judgment on my part. What I believe needs to be done with our Unified Office of Communications is a full overgrade and overhaul of our technology. I've been in the center. I've actually toured the center. I've actually listened to calls come in. I've actually been in our 911 center, listened to calls come in. I have been in almost all of the departments doing tours to ensure that when I become mayor, then I am prepared and understand the nuances of these departments. And I can tell you what they're working with is not a state of the art. It's not proficient. It is not the latest technology. And we will, because we know people's lives depend on that, we will ensure that there's an upgrade on all of the technology. I can't tell you how many of the workers that I talk with while in there, and they said, Mr. Butler, well, we only have this, or this is all we're working with. That's a problem when workers start to say that. So if the mayor of this city is not going around those departments, and if she watches your blog, I hope that she takes my advice for the last little bit of time she's got in office.
Well, thank you. Let me see. Let's wind around to a couple of last questions. And these questions are about, wait, hold on a second. Let's see. Well, schools are under mayoral control. Do you think that this has worked positively for schools? And if elected mayor, do you think that this is the way to keep doing it? Or what is the best way to make schools good, better for families, for teachers, for the union, for everybody involved?
So thank you, Maria. I evolved on mayoral control. At first, I was hard against and saying we need to tear the whole system down and
Mhm.
start all over again. I am not of that mind frame as we talk right now. I
Mhm.
believe we can improve on what we have right now, but it's going to
Mhm.
require some critical improvements. It's going to require that our usage of the per pupil formula is magnified to affect those schools east of the river or predominantly east of the river in a very positive way. So where we see students not performing or making the grade, or schools not performing and making the grade east of the river, I believe that we need to infuse more money into those schools and specifically earmark those funds for wherever we may see the deficiency line, such as, if it's STEM or whatever, then we make sure those funds are earmarked for that. So to me, that's critically important that we do that. I think also in retention of our teachers is going to be another aspect that we look at. And we do this by one, having workforce housing for teachers. I think we bring back the teachers college. And that way we can have students, some of our own local talent, go up through our schools and make sure that we not only have the best trained teachers in the world, that we have the best prepared teachers in the world. I also think that we're going to have to set a world-class minimum salary for all of our teachers so that it's certainly competitive and that none of our teachers really want to leave us. Again, I think we need to rely a lot less on hiring teachers from Teach for America, a lot more on relying on local talent that would certainly come from a reintroduced teachers college within the district. So those are things that I'm really looking at. But do we have to tear the whole thing down to make it work again and make it work better? I'm not quite of that mindset.
Okay. Going forward with, there's so many district agencies that are not working at 100%. Does your plan for mayor involve specific plans or specific targets to meet to make sure that agencies are at least doing the bare minimum in some cases or doing their job?
Yeah. So I am really, 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 I've got it out for DDOT and DCRA. I
Mhm.
mean, Maria, I can't tell you. Those agencies really need overhaul. Even with DCRA splitting up, we've really got to be sure that it has oversight. We've got buildings collapsing in this city, new constructions, rehabs collapsing because we've got an overworked agency that's been historically very poorly managed. And deals being made within the agency. It's been an agency fraught with corruption. And you know what? As mayor, when I talked about my law practice and my licensure situation, I said the buck stops with me, and I'll say the buck stops with me as mayor. You can't blame it on someone else. It's you who appointed the deputy mayors and the department heads and those sorts of things. You got to make sure you hire the most competent people prepared to do the job with the right amount of oversight, or it falls at your feet. You can't ensure that the snow doesn't get off the street and it's icy everywhere. And you say, oh, well, people were slipping and sliding in Virginia too. And then you fire your department head. No one wants to hear that. People want to hear what you did or why you didn't do it. And then you fire your interim department head the next day. That's not the type of mayoralty that you will see with me. The buck will stop with me. I will hire the most competent people, have the most oversight, and at the end of the day, always take responsibility for what happens in my city.
Okay, well, thank you. I feel like we could keep having this conversation. It's been a lovely time talking to you, but I want to
likewise. Yeah.
keep it a little short. So if there's anything else you want to say, any parting words, any keywords or any things that people might be coming to look at, what does James truly stand for? Go for it. The
Absolutely.
floor is
I
yours.
want to share. Thank you so much, Maria, and thanks for having me. And I always say this, and I'll say this to you, that kindness is a superpower. And so thank you for exhibiting so much kindness and having me here today and interviewing me. I really do appreciate that. Folks, you all can check out my website at butler4dc.com, All my social media handles have that except for Twitter, and that is James Butler for DC.com. So you can find me there. You can follow me there. We're doing videos and we're uploading it with new and fresh material every day. I want to say this, folks. We typically, say, well, is he electable? That was the mantra of Elizabeth Warren's campaign. Folks, people would say, excuse me, is she electable? The retort of her campaign was, well, if you vote for her, she is. And so I'm asking you this. If you ask yourself, am I electable? I am, if you vote for me. And I will tell you this, I will work harder than any other mayor that this city has seen, maybe save Marion Barry. I am eager to work. I believe I have the intellect to do it, the passion, the zeal. And I believe I'm prepared to do this job. This is something that I really, really, really care deeply about, just as I care deeply about issues of equity and justice. I devoted literally my entire life to causes of equity and justice. I will run this city with my mind and my heart. And I promise you, I will make DC proud. So I'm asking for your vote on June 21st. I am looking forward to seeing some of you. I believe it's around May 23rd at the Ward 6 Dems debate or forum with Chuck Berger. And Maria, I just want to thank you for your generosity and kindness once again. And all those watching.
So very welcome. And, I will have your information, your websites and your socials on Instagram and on YouTube. So all of those links will be there when this video airs. So thank you again, James.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Have a great night.